Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, people of Earth, wherever you are on this crazy rock spinning through space. Welcome to the fucking news with me, Deke Jackson, on the 8th of November 2021. The miracle vaccine. Remember the miracle vaccine? Around November, December, I did an Orwellian thing. I went and looked at the past. I know you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to look at the past, are you? You're supposed to just live in a never-ending now where whatever the truth is now has always been the truth. We have always been allies with Oceania. We have always, our enemies have always been Oceania. But I went and looked at the past because I bought the Times today because of the story on the front page. The story on the front page of the Times in Britain today says, refusing the booster is killing the double jabbed. Sorry, what? The double jabbed? Those people who've had the vaccine. They've been double jabbed with vaccine. They've had the vaccine twice and they're dying because they haven't had it a third time. Do tell. But wait a minute. So I went back in time. Ooh, like Bill and Ted. Excellent. Excellent, dude. Party on. Oh, no, that's another film. I went back in time. Just a year. It wasn't like, aeons or eons or eras. I just went back in time a year. And I Googled the news about the vaccine. And The Guardian, long-lasting protection, miracle vaccine. MSN News, vax to the rescue. NBC, vaccine miracle. Wait a minute. I'm confused. This miraculous vaccine that's coming to the rescue, good morning, Sergey, turns out that even after 3 of them, you're going to need more. And if you don't want more vaccine, you're going to die, apparently. Let's say older people. It's funny that because it really just does kill older people. I mean, I don't know how old you are. Older doesn't really sum it up statistically, does it? It's kind of euphemistic. I really dislike shitty journalism. Older people who are double jabbed. Over 80. That's not older. That's fucking ancient. Die already. Older people. Average age of dying 83.4. Older people. Really old people. It's not older. Like if you're 30, you're older than 20. What does older mean? Rhys Blakely, science correspondent. It's not very sciencey, is it? Older. Where's the stats, man? I'm a stats fiend. I like my data. Older. Good morning, Finn Smith. Older people who are double jabbed are dying. Let's just put a full stop there. Let's just put a full stop there. Older people who are double jabbed are dying. Wow. I'm confused because the vaccine a year ago was riding to the rescue and was a miracle which was going to save us all and allow our lives to return to normal. If you think normal means the government knowing exactly where you are all the time and you having to produce digital proof of your identity every time you go for a latte, if you think that's normal, then of course we are returning to normal. Let's go on. Older people who are double jabbed are dying. Sorry if you had it. I'm not. You fucking idiots. Because they are not taking up the offer of a booster. A senior government scientist said yesterday. Dr. Susan Hopkins, Chief Medical Advisor to the UK Health Security, urged people over 50 to come forward for a 3rd dose to lessen the chances of death. Wow. So I went back a year using a thing called the internet. And it turns out that according to mainstream media and government sources and all kinds of other things, exactly a year ago at this time, around the November-December mark, the COVID vaccine was going to save us all and was a miracle of modern science. And people in white lab coats were being carried around, shoulder high in ticker tape parades. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. With nary a backward glance at what they were saving us from was an overbearing tyranny of public health fascism that purports to make you responsible for the health of over 80-year-old people who might get a cough and die. Yeah, wow. So, I'm sure there'll be more COVID news in this paper, but in other international news, a Danish professor of Middle Eastern studies has cancelled an appearance at a university in Scotland after the university asked to vet his speech in case it broke terrorism laws. What? The speaker was asked to provide material in advance because the university needed to take extra precautions because the Jewish Society had said the event could bring negative repercussions for Jewish students. What could those negative repercussions be if a professor of Middle Eastern studies were to lay out the, again, I do like facts, you know, historical, actual, relevant, you know, cogent facts. I do like that sort of thing. What would, you know, an unimpeachable Danish, he's not even a fucking Arab, well, he might be actually, Somdeep Sen. Doesn't sound, it's not Mohammed, is it? Somdeep Sen, Associate Professor of International Development at Roskilde University, was due to give a talk on the decolonizing of Palestine, Hamas, between the anti-colonial and the post-colonial. I mean, it sounds dry, dusty, academic shit to me. It's not exactly a rally cry for jihad, is it? You know, decolonizing Palestine, Hamas, between the anti-colonial and the post-colonial. I mean, you know, it sounds of academic interest. I'm not sure there'd be a big crowd there, but nonetheless, the Jewish Society felt that it could bring negative repercussions for Jewish students. What might that be if a bunch of people went and got an education about actuality in Israel and Palestine? And what are they afraid of? Because the last time I looked, Israel has one of the most powerful armies and air forces in the world. It has the people of Palestine locked down, like even before fucking COVID. The people of Palestine were on lockdown. You'd think they'd all caught, you know, Islam 920 or Islam 90, an ideological disease which infects the brain and leads you to believe that Allah wants you to die with a load of fucking dynamite strapped to your chest. So they've got the people of Palestine locked down. They've got gnarly military. What are they afraid of? Public opinion, apparently. I mean, you know, public opinion, it's a powerful, powerful thing, public opinion. And it could cause Jewish students negative repercussions. Like people saying, hey, aren't you Jewish? You know your country's a fucking dick. You know your country's a nasty, murdering fucking dick. That's your country, your nation. I'm not saying anything about you personally. It's like, I mean, you know, say you were a national of the country of North Korea, you know, and people would say, wow, your country's a dick. Your country's in a real fucking mess. The people who run your country are assholes. That kind of negative repercussions for Jewish students. Anyway, in Flop 26 news, it turns out, it's not in this paper, I went on the internet and found it, that the biggest contingent of all the delegates that are at COP26, the climate summit, the people who've come together to talk about, you know, decarbonising the world, saving the planet, you know, protecting the environment. The biggest group of delegates are not not the Maldives Open Swimmers Association. No, it's not them. It's not the Polar Bear Friends Society. No, it's not the Greenland Cross Country Skiing Club. No, the biggest delegate at COP26 climate conference, fossil fuel industry. That's right. Now, it may seem counterintuitive that, but let's just go with it. What are the fossil fuel industry doing at COP26? Are they there to A, apologise, prostrate themselves on the ground and be the whipping boys of Greta Thunberg? Imagine Greta Thunberg. Bear with me. Imagine Greta Thunberg in a climate dungeon dressed in her black femdon suit with a big whip, and manacled to the wall are the CEOs of Exxon, Total, BP and Shell, and she's laying in them to a whip, and they're going, oh, you bad boys, she's saying, bad boys, are you bad? You're so naughty, naughty boys. And the fossil fuel industry, yes, mistress, yes, we're so bad. Hurt me, hurt me. No, that's not what's happening. Oh, sorry. Let's go back to the poll. Are they A, there to prostrate themselves in a femdon dungeon as Greta Thunberg whips them before fucking them with a strap-on made out of polyurethane refined from Saudi crude? Or B, are they there to slide checks across the counter while their eyes swivel? Look, you ain't seen me, right? But look, here's a little some, buy the wife something nice for Christmas, all right? Yeah, you know, what? Are they there, A, to be femdom fucking strap-on fucked by Greta Thunberg? B, slide checks under the desk to various national ministers of the environment? Or C, promote their new technological revolution, which is, and here it is, right? I swear, this is a double page, you can't see the detail, but take my word for it. That is a double page advert for Aramco, right? Aramco is the Saudi national oil company. It's the biggest oil company in the world, Aramco. And it's a double page advert saying that they can fix it. Honestly, we can fix it. It's okay. We've got a plan, right? And one of the things it says on this page is, how do you lower your carbon footprint of a moving truck? Mobile carbon capture. All right, mobile carbon capture essentially is taking the exhaust of your truck, which is burning Saudi oil, passing it through baking soda or something like that. It's a chemical reactant which CO2 binds to. And then later, you know, dumping it in a fucking fly tip, dumping it up a lane near a forest in Epping. Seriously, honestly, burying it underground in Iceland, something like that. So, here we go. Over a third of all transport comes from road freight. It's true, it's a fact. It's a good start. We have captured up to 40% of the CO2 from a truck's exhaust in a recent lab test. We can fix it, honestly. Come with me, here's a check. Storing it safely on board to offload later in a fly tipping place in Iceland. Or to reuse or store deep underground. All right. If every heavy-duty truck in the world had our technology, which only exists in a laboratory and cost $50 squillion, you know, and involved 20 lab-coated men in a 5-story building, yeah, if every heavy-duty truck in the world had a 4-story laboratory with 50 technicians in it, reducing emissions from the truck by 40%, we could save up to 473 million tons a year. So it only took 40% out, which means that it left 600 million tons in the exhaust. It's the equivalent to planting 80 billion new trees, what they saved. So what they didn't save is the equivalent of chopping down 100 billion trees. This is the green fairy story. This whole double page ad, which strangely enough is coloured in a kind of, you know, delicate hue of green. It's a total green fairy story. The idea that once upon a time in a laboratory, we carefully crafted something or other that did something which left to a reduction in something, and therefore, fuck you, we're still going to sell oil. That's once upon a time in a laboratory, our technicians did something which means we can fuck you and continue selling oil. That's what we discovered. It's a scientific fact. Fuck you. We're still going to burn this shit. And, you know, just for our investors, I expect that's news for investors because the stock market is a fickle place. Imagine you were selling, I don't know, radium toothpaste in 1920. You know, say you were selling radium toothpaste, right? And then the scientists come out and go, dude, radium's really fucking bad. And they said this all over the news, and your stock price fucking plummeted, and suddenly you were broke and your shares were worthless. Imagine if you could, if you had so much money, you could go around the world buying up advertising saying, oil is okay, honestly, we can fix it. It's like a sort of, a crack addict saying, it's okay, I'm on it. I can control it. I can choose when to use the crack with an eye, with his, a needle hanging out his eyeball. We can fix it. Yes, we can. Meanwhile, in Britain, we're under no such illusion that we can fix it. I think in Britain, science has successfully, if you like, quietly persuaded Britain's rulers, perhaps the Queen and, a few Masons, I don't know, of the need to decarbonize and defossilize our infrastructure, if only because at some point in the future it will become apparent to even a fucking blind dead polar bear that this shit was bad for the atmosphere. So Britain has signed a contract for up to 16 small-scale nuclear reactors. The first 4 have begun to be constructed, and they will be delivered all over Britain within the next 10 years. And this is the sort of foresight and planning that I think the British excel at. We don't know what the future is going to be like, but let's make a mess of it. Half-life of some of the, nuclear particles in reactor fuel, 85,000 years. We don't know what the future is going to be like, but let's fuck it up. While you people were worrying about climate change, right? Climate change, honestly, we could have an industrial process of direct air capture over the next 100 years, which could suck all of the carbon out of the atmosphere if we wanted to. And that would be that. It's a linear problem. It really is. We've got the technology. Obviously we're good at building shit. We could do that. 100 years, direct air capture, boom, the carbon's out of the atmosphere. And then what? Then look around the fucking nuclear wasteland you built to decarbonize and defossilize, where you littered the planet with nuclear material with a half-life of 85,000 years, and we still haven't resolved the storage problems thereof. Woo! Way to go, humanity. Give yourself a pat on the back and take out a double-page ad in the Times. We just get madder and madder and madder. During lockdown, people bought extra things they didn't need, and then they regretted the purchases. Okay, in total in Britain, households spent over £6 billion on items which they regretted buying, and billions of pounds wasted. Here's a list of the most regretted purchases made during the pandemic. Xboxes and PlayStations, tools, carpentry equipment, clothes, shoes, home gym equipment, musical instruments. But here's the one that gets me. The pizza oven. The what? A pizza oven. Like, don't you have an oven already that you can put? What makes it a pizza oven? I mean, I know I've seen pizza ovens in Italy. They're made of brick and they're fired by charcoal. Are those the kind of pizza ovens people bought? Or is this some kind of fucking... This is like a child's toy thing. A pizza oven for your baby doll. You don't buy a pizza oven for your house. You have your pizza delivered from somewhere that's got a pizza oven. That's the whole fucking thing about pizza ovens, is they're not something you have in your house. They're something bakers have. The pizza oven. The one after pizza oven is a hot tub or jacuzzi. The mind boggles. Eating pizza in your hot tub. Some of these things I sort of see the point of. Musical instruments. Garden furniture. Spent a lot of time in the garden. Smartphones and tablets. Not exactly a lockdown purchase, is it? Arts and crafts materials. And bicycles. Pizza ovens. You can get a pizza delivered for like £5. I don't normally do personal tragedy, but this one. A man has been killed by a great white shark off the coast of Australia. And the headline says, "As his wife and children watched from the shore." Now, foreign staff is the only name for the journalist. Foreign staff. Did you need to put that? Did you? Couldn't you just leave it at he was killed by a shark? Do we have to, you know, if his wife and children are reading this, going to go, "Oh yes, we did. We watched from the shore." There's nothing heroic about that. There's no putting a good... You can't put lipstick on this pig. They didn't wade in and try and save him and beat off the shark with a semi-deflated lilo. Nope, they watched from the shore. Dad, are you okay? No, I'm being eaten by a fucking shark. We're watching. We are watching from the shore. It gets worse because his wife says her husband was a wonderful man, a wonderful father. He died doing what he enjoyed the most, which she says was exercising. But I would say he died being eaten by a shark. He didn't die exercising. That's like having a heart attack when you're jogging. No, this man died being eaten by a shark. It's hard to imagine a man who enjoyed most of all in his life. He was a wonderful man. He died doing what he loved, which was being eaten by a shark. He used to like spending his summers being eaten by sharks. There's a story here about an identity thief. He came from India to the UK and on a student visa, and when it ran out, he adopted somebody else's identity, and he got married, obtained bank cards, a driving license. He took a job at Tesco, and he was paid $24,000 in total for working for Tesco's and Ladbrokes in his victim's name over a period of 2 years. He was caught when the real Melvin Dias tried to book a vaccination and found out he'd already had one. This man got 3 years in jail. 3 years in jail. I mean, give the guy a break. He never claimed any benefits. He worked hard. You know, he sounds like a good Tory voter to me. 3 years in jail. Fuck, that's harsh. All right. Here's another interesting story. Some of you may have noticed in your country this story is going around about spiking. That women are they're reporting being jabbed or spiked, you know, in clubs and discos, nightclubs, going out on the town at night. And the story infers that it's a kind of attempt at some sort of date rape, that there's some kind of, you know, nefarious sexual intent by jagging these women. So, woman 18 terrified after being spiked on night out. A teenager said she's too scared to go out after being spiked with a needle on her first night clubbing. All right, what's the plan, right? I mean, if you're with a girl and you're chatting to her and she's already agreed to share a taxi home, and you spike her drink so that she falls unconscious and you drag her to your fucking lair and whatever. Okay, you know, as a storyteller, I can see the plot there, right? If you just jab a girl, right, it's completely randomly as she's milling about in the club, what's your plan when she collapses? To rush over and say, "Stand back, I'm a rapist. I mean a doctor." I mean, like, when she collapses unconscious in the nightclub, how are you going to get to take control of the situation and whisk her away to your fucking lair? What is the plan? It just doesn't seem to make any sense. And also, the details of this story are somewhat interesting. Blah, blah, blah. She's out with her friends on Halloween. She doesn't describe being injected or jabbed. She doesn't say that she felt a jag at all. She was out with her friends when she lost all feeling in her face and her arm felt sore. Does that sound like a sort of vaccine reaction? Does it? Because it goes on. She did not drink any alcohol, so it couldn't have been in her drink. But when she spoke to her mother, she was almost incoherent, slurring her speech. The next day, the effects of the drugging began to set in. That's not drugging. You don't wait for the next day It's not a great date rape drug, is it? If you have to wait for the next fucking day. Yeah, I've spiked her drink. I'm going to see her for coffee tomorrow at 3. Oh, she's for it then. I mean, what the fuck? This wave of illnesses and reports of strange druggings that are sweeping the country seem like they could be related to some other injection that people had in their arm that went numb, that made them feel ill the next day. The next day, the effects of the drugging began to set in. She lost her vision. Sound familiar? She could not stand up. Sound like a vaccine side effect? 4 days after the night out in Southampton, she was still dizzy. This is not a date rape drug. Honestly, I'm not going clubbing again. No, but I'm gonna have my fucking booster shot. Really? Sounds sus to me, like. Alright, what is the plan? The next day, the effects of the drug. I'm waiting to the weekend till you... Where do you live? I need to wait for my drug to have its effect on you. There's not really a great deal of news in this paper today. I guess it's Monday. Here's a story that is... I've done this one before. I don't know how it took the Times a week to catch up, but Amazon is still selling books by an occultist who is said to have influenced the teenager who stabbed 2 sisters in a park. I mean, who gives a fuck what this guy read? He fucking stabbed 2 girls because he thought Satan would help him win the lottery. We're really blaming a book. We're blaming a book. You better not read that book. You better not read that book. I suggest we burn that book before somebody else reads it and stabs some people because Satan could help them win the lottery. Yeah, Amazon is still selling books, full stop. And as I observed the last time a newspaper did this, Amazon is still selling the Bible, which has influenced many a witch burning and, a murder and an oppression, a repression and suppression of intelligence, science, rationale. Not to mention inspiring the rape and murder of children all over the world by paedophile, fucking murdering, psychopathic people who joined up the religion for a cover for their nefarious fucking activities. So yeah, Amazon is still selling books. Some of them you shouldn't read. Some of them should be burned. I don't know which ones. That's not really my job. Blah, blah, blah. Iraqi leader survives attack by exploding drones. So, the Iraqi leader, right, Mustafa al-Kadhimi, the Iraqi Prime Minister, survived an apparent assassination attempt after 2 explosive-laden drones crashed into his residence in Baghdad. 7 security guards were injured. "I'm fine, thanks be to God. I'm with my people," he said immediately afterwards. There were no initial claims of responsibility, but there have been violent clashes with pro-Iranian militias in recent days. I like the drone killing thing. I do. I think it's like the arrival of the future. I look forward to drive-by shootings in America being replaced by drone-by shootings or shooting by drone. It's a case of life imitating art, because I'm sure there were a number of films who presciently showed us how drones could be used to kill people in the future, and now we're doing it. And if anybody remembers, drones attacked the Saudi Arabian refineries a couple of years ago, Iranian drones, and it's a real game changer, isn't it? When instead of needing a suicide bomber or a Hellfire missile, both of which are difficult to come by, Hellfire missiles cost a lot of money, and people prepared to blow themselves up are thin on the ground in most places. But no, get yourself a drone, gaffer tape some explosives to it, and boom, you're in business. You've gone from fucking sandal-wearing goat herder to 21st Century Assassin. Fantastic. You can get them on Amazon. You get them for like 100 quid, heavy enough to lift a kilo. So there's nothing to stop anybody, anywhere, being some sort of science fiction automaton killer or destroyer of material and facilities. On the other hand, of course, I mean, maybe it's just my cynical mind. On the other hand, of course, there's nothing to stop the intelligence community using drones to kill people and blow shit up, and then saying, look, dude, you can get this shit on Amazon. Don't look at us. Don't look at us. It's not like our job is to kill people and subvert the rule of government in countries where we have a geopolitical interest. Don't look at me. You can get that shit on Amazon. Honestly, nothing to do with us. Move along. Nothing to see here. Right, well, I'm off to have some fun. It's not that sunny. It looks like it might rain. I guess I might do a spot of gardening, if you know what I mean. Have fun and enjoy yourself, because today is as good as it's going to get, and tomorrow will suck just a little bit more. Thanks for watching.